Hello, welcome to this video. So basically I have a bunch of clothes that I want to do like a bunch of modifications to. Some of them, actually most of them, are mainly like fixing up but also kind of cutting shorter and modifying and all that jazz. I have about 4 or 5 things that I want to do something with, and I've decided the first one that I'm going to do is some acid wash jeans, I think they're called. I have them here. These kind of light blue ones. They're not my size. Like, I got these a good while ago, and at that point they should have been my size, but like they definitely are one of the ones that like stretch only really a little bit, when usually a lot of stuff tends to stretch a little bit more. But these are jeggings. They have that stretch throughout them, but yeah, they aren't my size anymore, and I've been wanting to get some sort of like jean shorts, but because I am overweight and I have thickest of thighs, it means that they do rub together, and it basically means that a lot of shorts don't cover the area that rubs, and so it means I can get chafing and stuff like that, which sucks ass. And so I have a bunch of these sort of jegging stuff. I have a few more as well. Some of them I am going to turn onto sort of like shorts the same as well, but I need to replace the inner area with another strip from like the leg, because it does wear over time. Like, it doesn't tend to wear like quickly, but like it definitely is something where like there's even a bit of wear on this one. Against my shirt, well, dress, you can kind of see the, what was it called when it does that? It's something that swears are known for doing, like the bunching and the bubbling and the whatever it's called. Like, it tends to do that just because it's like being rubbed together constantly. So for those ones I'd probably replace the inner bit. I'm thinking I will end up adding a bit on the inside, but throughout the kind of area of the shorts. So yeah, basically my plan is I'm going to measure, I think I measured this is about 40 inches. So I'm pretty much going to chop it at the halfway point, like that. So I have all this material to play with. Then I'm going to probably cut open the sides and then attach. I've done a bunch of measuring and equations and stuff like that, so I think I've kind of got it figured out a little bit of how much I'd need. So with that, I would open up the sides, pin this all into the side area for about, I think, 8 inches. It's probably going to end up being half that, because after that point, once I kind of get that a bit more fitted, and it's like I can measure it and stuff like that and actually get it around my body, I'm going to then cut open the crotch area, like all the way from the inside to the out bit. And then I'm probably just going to use a bit of felt or something like that, and then I'm going to just pin it all into here and then see how that affects the sides, because if it's on the inside of the leg, if there's more room being put in the inside of the leg, it's probably going to end up being like the overall circumference, I think, of the jeans would kind of be wider. So I mean, I probably need less on the outside, I think. A lot of this is just like a hypothesis. It's just me generally just thinking, how would this do, and what would that do, and what would all this do, and all that jazz. So it might end up working out differently than I expect, but I think I'm just going to start chopping it, really, because as of right now, like, it's no harm, no foul if I destroy it and it turns out I can't use it or whatever. My original plan actually was to get a bunch of jeggings and stuff like that I have, and rather than obviously manipulate them to wear them, I suppose you wear a backpack. I was going to make them into a backpack because I've noticed like I swear one of the backpacks I had in school was like huge because I could fit so much shit in it. And then whenever I look at ones nowadays, even the bigger ones, they're not that like big. I feel like you can't fit as much in them anymore. So it's kind of like, oh, I'll make my own one out of jeans and stuff, but that's not going to happen. So I'm just going to go ahead and start chopping. So I'll see you in the next bit. Oh yeah, I've sewn up the 2 areas, or like the 2 seams at the front. I've sewn those together. Alright, so where did I go? Oh yeah, so I did those things, and I've kind of been trying them on and off a little bit. I'm happy so far with where they're going. So right now, I'll show you, because it's just fucking easier. What we have right now is I've sewn this together down here. So this is actually the separate piece, and then this is the original kind of front area. So originally it was kind of tucking in towards here, like that, but I added in some felt on the inside there because I want to have more upwardness in the front, because it was kind of sitting like down there and I don't like where that's at. So I'm gonna up higher, I'll talk about that in a minute. There. And then this is the back of that piece, and this is just safety pinned together. And as I was saying before, having the top, well technically it was the bottom of the leg, but having it up towards the top, so it kind of creates a bit more of a kind of finished top. Now I haven't sewn these two bits together here yet, because I'm not sure if I want to sew it up at the front, have another piece, repair the elastic binding a bit more, and then kind of sewing that back in, or not yet. So that'll probably be kind of towards the end, I think, once I get the next bit done, which is this back area here. I could probably pinch it in more when it comes to the leg. I mean, actually my original idea was like, I could put, I don't know what are like the buttonholes called? Not buttonholes, but the holes that you put the buttons through, whatever they're called, I don't know. But like put a bunch of those up kind of here, and then possibly do like a sort of corset type ribbon deal up the side, and that way I could sort of like tighten it a wee bit and all that jazz if I wanted to. But then again, like, I don't know. I think for now, because again, I was gonna roll this up as well, so I think what my plan is gonna be, because this is on a seam, or at least, well, here it would be on a seam. So you can kind of see it here, that seam there. So I'm going to unpick it and then sew this panel here onto this back bit here. And then we're gonna go from there, I think. Because it should mean that I have, because there's a bunch tucked in sort of around here. I'm thinking I could use that and then kind of start going back into the leg area, or the inside area at least. Because originally this wasn't as quite thingy, it was a lot like tighter, but because I've added in this middle bit, it kind of loosened it up quite a bit. So I think the next step is going to be unpicking this seam along this bit, sewing these two together, and then taking the material that's in here and not being used and kind of pinning it into here, into the middle area, so it's not just this big purple bit in between the legs. And then I think we're going to go from there and see how tidying up works and all that jazz. But I think for now, like, the height is where I wanted it to be. I can show you a bit more, like, back here. Yeah, so like I think that the height is sitting a lot more where I wanted it to sit, because originally, like, there's usually a fair amount in the back, but usually the front there's not a lot, so you're either giving yourself a wedgie to try and get it over my belly, or just being generally uncomfortable. So I definitely like more where it's sitting now than where it was sitting before, and obviously that's in part to like the felt area that I've put in to test it out. So yeah, I think that's the next thing I want to do, and then I'll get back to you when I have I suppose that done. I haven't even done my sewing machine yet at this point, so hopefully I can get that figured out, because I want to just use it to kind of reinforce the seam at the front that I've done, because I just did that by hand. But I think for now I might just do it by hand and kind of go from there. I think it's going to be the plan, but yeah. So what does it look like so far? Right, so what did I do last time? Okay, so I did what I said I was going to do. I unpicked the seam of the extra fabric and then sewed along the line on the outside area here, and so far it's looking quite good. I've also taken one of the extra unpicked pieces and pinned it to the inside like I did with the felt to see how it'll look, and it definitely does look better. Like, I think just in general, like, rather than having like a big purple bit in the crotch, it definitely does look a little bit better as to like how it would look even. So I think it's doing quite well. It is definitely still kind of loose. Like, up here it's not sitting too tight, which is quite nice, but I've been debating, I'll probably do it more towards the end, taking out, because there's some elastic in this area and in the back where the original waistline was, and I was thinking I could take that out, either still use it and just kind of sew the two together and then sew another bit around as well to have it go all the way around, or not. I'm not entirely sure as of yet, but so far it's looking quite good. It could definitely be a bit like tighter around the leg, around here, so it kind of comes in more, but I don't know, I think for now I'd rather have it slightly looser as I'm doing stuff, and then I can make it tighter as I need it, sort of deal. I think that's sitting more straight now. Because I think that's one thing about it, is like there are certain areas where, because it's so more loose, it definitely feels like it isn't sitting particularly well, and then there are other areas where like it feels like it's sitting a little bit better. But yeah, I think the next step is to take the inside and sew on this inside panel and then go from there again. I don't know if I want to roll up the bottom bits, it would definitely help in terms of having a finished bit here. I would either have it like a little bit rolled up so it's finished, or like rolled up on the inside, or I could, you know, do like an outside roll sort of deal. And I wouldn't mind having like the darker blue and the seam bit there showing, but I suppose I could always chop it out, swap it around so it's all one kind of seam coming up. And obviously it would come up higher up the leg as well, but right now because there's a bunch of safety pins in it, it can't really like fold in the middle of the safety pins, so I can't get it to a height that I can't play about with the height as much as I would if it wasn't pinned. So I think the plan's going to be sew the inside bit to it and then go from there again. So I'll see you then. So these pockets are doing it through the front. I do have back ones that are definitely more bigger, not particularly big though, and there's just this little one, tiny pocket for why. Stick like a mint in there or something. Anyway, right, I'm gonna go do that. Alright, okay, so I figured out my sewing machine. There's definitely bits and bobs I need to kind of fix, but I've got the main thing done now. I think from this point it's just gonna be like more or less sort of aesthetic stuff. Like for example, if I want to roll it up on the outside or roll up on the inside, that sort of stuff. But okay, so I think it's looking pretty good. I would definitely say in terms of the area, like on the inside of the legs, it is definitely bunching weirdly. But to be honest, I kind of prefer, I think it might be just in general like the sewing, the fact it's not taut on the leg as well. I think it probably is the kind of uneven sewing maybe, because I think maybe the front might be different from the back in terms of the inside of the leg area. I thought that was the inside bit there for a second. I was like, oh no. But I think overall, I think the only thing about it is this area here, because this was actually this sort of bit around here, because this is the top end of the leg, oh well, the bottom of the leg area, and it's been unpicked and folded out. So obviously, because this was acid wash, I think they're called, obviously the bits on the inside, like for this bits underneath the seam here, is kind of that darker blue, and then this bit obviously is that darker blue again because it was folded over. But on the outside, inside, it's cut off at this line here, but then on this side it's sewn right to this bit here. So I'm gonna have to figure out, I mean my plan is to fold it up one way or the other, but I think now because I don't have a ton of pins in it, probably fold this up twice if I were to fold it this way. I think the only thing about folding up this way is like you see a lot of these unfinished sort of bits, so maybe I could even like fold it down a little bit here and then fold it back down. I'm not gonna do the little inside bit there, but fold it like that, so it's kind of still got the outside doing. I also need to figure out the front, but I think that looks fairly good. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I need to think about at this point, because I feel like I'm alright with it being a looser fit, because to be honest I was a bit like, if I'm going to do any more complicated folding like this, it would kind of possibly end up tightening up, but I could also just even maybe add a button on one side and then kind of fold it over like that. So it could tighten up, but it could be a looser fit if I wanted. That's also an option I might do. I could also just really hike it up and have it a lot shorter as well, like that, which I think kind of looks better to be honest. I mean that one's kind of come undone, so I still have a bunch of extra fabric as well. I think the main thing is I don't want to come up too high. I need to also figure out where this is actually going to sit on me, because I feel like it's still kind of coming down front here, which is not the worst thing in the world. It's still a lot higher than where it was before, but it's kind of sitting like above my belly button by about probably an inch or so, so it's still pretty good. I think there's a lot of questions, because again, I think it's in the last clip, because I haven't really got any footage. I haven't got any footage of me sewing yet, so I've just kind of been doing these little clips. Oh, that's also another thing. Lining these up as well is going to be a trick to do too. Or do I want to line them up, or do I want to offset them, maybe? I mean, it'd be easier to offset them because I wouldn't need to focus on that, but then again, do I want them offset the same way, different ways? Probably just be easier just to have them sewn at the same bit. I think it looks a little bit nicer, looks a little bit like it's supposed to be that way. But yeah, I think the main thing is going to be the waist and how I want it to sit. I can just hike it right up, because I could have it like that high and then lower this down again. Obviously it brings up the height a hell of a lot more if I have it. I don't know, because I feel like it is sitting a bit higher on this area here. But yeah, I think the next bit's going to be probably the waist area. I think I'm going to take some of the excess fabric, kind of fold it over so it kind of looks like this. I don't know if I'm going to fully have it look like this. I don't know yet. Maybe I'll just do a first stitch and then I can add a second stitch later on to make it look really similar at that point. I think actually the one thing about it is the bell loops. I'm just thinking about it just now. I feel like they're fine where they are. I feel like they don't need to have another one maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I think what to do next is the waist line and I'm thinking elastic to try and see about kind of getting it more in line with everything and see, because I think the thing about it is like as I'm kind of moving it's not going too far down, but it's not really staying, and I think if I can get it to stay a bit better I can kind of then focus on where the actual endings are going to be, because it could be this high, which I definitely think is like more high-waisted. It's more kind of, I feel like it was more sort of what I was aiming for. The thing about it is like this, I'm standing from like a dresser mirror, so it's not quite full length. Actually no, can't do that because it's up against the wall. Let's go with this one. I'll be back in a second. We're going to check it out for the full length, just so you guys can get a better picture of like what I'm thinking about right now. Because like where this kind of sits up here, and then this is sort of where comfortable like high waist is for me, because a lot of high waist tends to come kind of here or comes sort of more towards here, but then when it comes across the front it kind of comes in front of a belly button. And I usually get this thing where like I kind of have like because I wear a belt to keep stuff up because it doesn't sit high enough to kind of stay on its own. I tend to get this kind of double roll belly going on. So I kind of want it to sit higher because I think where I was having it was a lot lower on the leg. So it kind of meant that like it just wasn't sitting where I kind of wanted it to sit. I try and keep the camera in the same place. Anyway, so this is definitely the more comfortable thing. I think the only thing about it is like, I don't know, I think what the next step is going to be pin this properly to properly give that area right, get it right, and then work on probably the waist, maybe even just fix the elastic, and yeah, just fix the elastic, thread it through the front and the back areas that still have that kind of open area for the elastic to go through, and then possibly just like a couple pins just to pin it to this fabric here and see what that looks like. So yeah, anyway, I'll get the elastic sorted in the waist, and then I'll come back and see how it's looking from there. Alright, so this is where we are now. I've sewn up the tightening up of this bit. It's definitely sitting a bit better when I just kind of stand, not too much point edge. I think, I'm not entirely sure how I did it, but I think the inside, when I added the extra bit, I think I might have not kept it 100% the same length, and I think because of like what I was talking about down here where this bit is sewn on here right up to the edge, whereas it's sewn up to that bit there before that big bit blue starts. So I think this is slightly longer than the other side, and that might be causing a little bit of the weird sort of bunching that is kind of happening like on the inside, I suppose, but I don't really necessarily mind it. I think right now what I'm gonna do is, I've got two bits of elastic here. They're stretched right now because I still wanted them to be kind of tighter around here. And it is kind of having these little areas at the side here because the elastic's on the inside. I pinned it right at the ends and then right in the middle to try and hold it. The elastic on this side is sewn along here, so I'm kind of thinking my best bet is to sew the elastic into this elastic here. It's not going to really stretch out much, so it's gonna be a little bit of a hack job on the inside, but if I can sew the elastic to the two bits of elastic in the main belt, and then my plan is I'm going to unpick this bit here because this is the same as it was down here, so it rolls out twice. I'm thinking if I can unpick that, then on the inside fold it kind of out, and that should basically mean it should line up around about this seam here. If I could keep the camera in the same place, should line up with the seam here. I don't think I'm going to sew the elastic with it like this bit is in here. I think I'm just going to keep it loose so it can kind of bunch in a bit, and I think that would be better. I'm thinking as well, like, I think I kind of like the length of them right now, so I feel like I'm probably just going to quickly kind of hem it up like that and make it as even as possible, and then that'll kind of be probably the next time, and then I'll kind of maybe talk a little bit about if I wanted to go any further with it or whatever else. So hopefully that should be that. But yeah, I mean, the same thing's kind of happening where it's like if there was tension here, but I feel like a lot of where the tension would come from, I'd need to kind of pull it because naturally it just doesn't hold up. I don't know. A few things I need to think about, but I'll get the bits of elastic in first and get that sorted, and then we'll kind of come back to it. I think it's going to be the plan. Alright, okay, so I have hemmed this bottom bit. I had to pin this bit because it was too large for the sewing machine to get it through. I was originally going to hem it with some dark blue thread that I have, but the thread is too thin, it keeps snapping. And I think one side I did do. What side did I do? I did do one side with the thread, this one, but obviously you can't really see it. And I think my plan's going to be is either I'll paint it, or I do have some dark blue embroidery thread, which I think is what I'm going to do. And I'll just, you know, simulate the two lines here and also a line down here. Kind of help it merge together. Oop. I need to pin up this one again, well not again, but pin up this one and hem it like this one. And then I'll probably next time you see this, or the next clip in the video will be just it finished because I'm pretty much almost there. And really it's just going to be final touches after I get the other one hemmed and sort out the embroidery thread or paint it or whatever I'm going to do. So this is it done. Like, the only problem I'm having with it is this embroidery thread right here. Like, if I squat down, it really cuts into my thighs. Like, it's not so much of a problem if you kind of like hook it up a wee bit. Kind of isn't so bad, but just from like the initial squat, it's very like tight. And I'm not sure how to kind of stop that without loosening the thread up. I might, you know what, I'm just going to keep an eye out for this kind of dark blue thread and see if there isn't ones that are kind of stretchier sort of deal, and then maybe I'll just multiply that up and kind of pleat them together a little bit and then just sew them instead. Because I really do quite like the way this line down here kind of matches with everything. I think it really does kind of bring it a bit more together. The same with the two lines up here on the elastic area. Like, I think it brings it together and it makes it look a little less like I've added two massive strips of fabric and hemmed it like 3 times. Like, I think it genuinely does make it look a lot better. So I'll keep it for now. I'll just have to be wary if I need to like squat down for anything. But yeah, like, I do have like an outfit in mind, but it's kind of one of those things where I ordered like 2 of the things last night that will go into technically three, but I ordered them last night, so I doubt I'm really gonna get it done for a while. So I feel like this will probably be the end of the video here. Sorry about the room. This is the one that has like, it's not even a full-length mirror, it was just a mirror that was hanging up there. I just took it down. But this is kind of like the other side of the room. And yeah, like actually, I got this. This is going to be another video. It originally wasn't, but now it is. So I got this, and I did already do a couple things to it, okay? So, first things first, these end bits, this end of the sleeves, they had a bit of elastic in them. So they kind of like bunched up like this. They were a little bit shorter than this because the way they'd done it is they'd folded it. I should come closer. The way they'd done it is that they'd folded it so that the outside bit was on the inside and then the elastic was running through that. Problem with that is while the inside's alright, like if you put a lot of pressure on it you can kind of feel where the glitter is, but like this outside bit, because those big chunks of glitter are on it, it's very like not the best. It's not the worst in the world, but it definitely is not the best. One thing I also say about these shorts is like they do kind of ride down a little bit. I feel like sometimes they stay up quite nicely and sometimes they don't. I might try it with a belt on and see, but anyway. There was also a bit of I don't know, elasticated rope or whatever on the inside, which again was folded up. So I unpicked that and took that out, and I think it looks a lot better. I think the length, just even having that little extra inch, is a lot better. But I have a plan. I have bought more of this material. This is something that I bought on its own. I knew it wasn't really gonna fit me. Like, it doesn't close. Like up here is alright, it would close, but when it gets to like the breast area and like this area, it's quite a tight bit, like it's not gonna fit, you know what I mean? It's not gonna zip up even. However, I've bought more of this material. It looks to be this exact material, and I'm thinking that I'm going to do a little DIY with that, and that'll be its own separate video, because if I explain it now, there's nothing to explain in the video at that point. It's going to take a while together, because I literally ordered it like last night, 2 days ago, I can't remember exactly. A little while ago, I think, so that'll be another video. I've got like another video as well, with a pinafore that I want to embroider onto and fit to me a little bit more, because it's actually a couple sizes too big, which is fucking surprising considering I tend to go for like a size 20 usually. Like I'd probably say on average I'm between like a size 18 to 20, but if it's stretchy I could be a size 16, because some of the shirts that I do still have like are size 16. So at the end of the day, it kind of depends for me, and some of the stuff that I have bought, like, I really do like, but I do want to edit, and other things I'm, like, fine with how it looks, all that jazz. Because there's another dress that I also want to edit, but that one's going to be quite a bit of chopping off and rearranging and all that jazz. Anyway, enough about the other videos that I'm going to make, and continue on with the shorts. I'd say one thing about the shorts is, like, I'd maybe say with the elastic, I kind of wish I'd maybe either made the elastic tighter, or even just taken like a triangle out from here so this area was tighter, because I think that might have helped a little bit with the kind of falling down, because it does sit here, like it does sit, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I would have to kind of hook it up. So I'm actually quickly going to check on one of these belts. This isn't the belt I usually wear, this is just like a belt that I think kind of matches the outfit really, more than anything else. Alright. So that's it with the belt on. Like I've kind of have this kind of loose white t-shirt on and it's kind of folding over, which is kind of what I would wear this with. Either that, or because of how actually up to my waist this is, I might actually be able to wear like tops that are more cropped. Because I feel like some tops, because cropped is kind of in the style nowadays, I feel like a lot of stuff is more cropped, which is not what I prefer. But at the end of the day, like I feel like I'd be more comfortable wearing cropped with this sort of thing and not having it tucked in, because it is actually up to my waist, because half of the stuff that I have is like the butt will come up to kind of maybe here, like just below the waist. Maybe if I stretch it, it'll go up to the waist, but then like it'll kind of swoop down here, and then when I wear my belt, it's like, and I just get like this rippling effect. Which is not the best. I don't love it, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like I've gotten so used to it that it's like something I have to do and I'm not really too concerned with it. But yeah, I really like how these turned out. I don't think the pockets are kind of high now. I feel like I'm so used to them being slightly lower down that it's like they are kind of high. I do also still have a good chunk of material left. I have about, I'd probably say, about a strip this kind of big of material and a few other bits and bobs. I was thinking maybe I could like add an extra pocket like onto here or something if I needed it, or even just add pockets in here. I feel like the sides would be a bit better with pockets, because I feel like there's more space kind of down here than there is like up into here. So anyway, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I haven't said about these shorts. I don't think so. I really like how they turned out. I definitely wasn't expecting them to turn out as well as they did. To be honest, I was kind of thinking like, oh, I'm probably gonna have to just leave this and not have it be a thing, but I quite like it. I think the main thing I was worried about was the height of them, because my thighs do rub together, it can be uncomfortable, and I feel like this is just at the height it needs to be to have like not too much rubbing going on. I could also roll them up further, which is a thing, so I could roll this up further, but I'm not gonna lie, because of the embroidery on the inside, it kind of makes it kind of uncomfortable to roll them up like that. So again, like I maybe wait until I actually have something there to properly thingy it. I feel like as well, like, I don't know whether it's just this belt or whatever, but I feel like it's not really holding it up as well. I think also maybe it's because like these two are quite far apart. So maybe that's something else I could also add, is another belt loop kind of in here. Or like a small one, just so it kind of keeps it there. Because I feel like it's fine majority of other places. Yeah, but anyway. In terms of the making of this, I think that like, if you were to look up close, you could see some of the stitching is not the best. There's sort of, I think, one of these areas up here with the original to the new fabric. There's a little bit of kind of like opening area where you can kind of see the stitching. I don't know how that happened, but anyway, I think at the end of the day, like, that isn't really what mattered to me. Like, I think standing like this, I feel like you couldn't really tell, and plus at the end of the day, like, it's just, I don't know. I try not to be too perfect with it because I feel like if I were to do that, it would just end up taking way longer than it should. But anyway, I think I've said this 5 times now. But that's the end of the video now, because I think I've said everything I need to say. You may be seeing this in the future. There might be like an update or whatever. Just don't know if I find some elastic stuff, because I feel like that's really kind of the only thing right now that's like, oh, I also haven't done this sort of stitching all the way through the crotch area. Like, I feel like if I were to do that, it would kind of be unnecessary because you can't see it really, like, at all. So that's the end of that video. I really like how they turned out. Like and subscribe. I'm probably gonna have a lot more sort of editing my clothes videos, because I have a good few that like either need taking in and stuff added to and all that jazz. Like, there's a fair amount of content in terms of that right now. I feel like that's just mainly because, like, when I go to uni, I'll actually be filming projects and stuff like that. I have a few, obviously, that are more arty related that I'm gonna film soon. Or, well, I'm literally filming the end videos right now, and they'll probably be up before this one. But yeah, I feel like right now it's gonna be the editing and clothes stuff, and then it'll be more onto the videos like kitty cakes and stuff like that, and actual art projects than what we have right now. So you can look forward to seeing what I do with this bad boy in a video at some point, probably maybe soon after this one. We'll see how everything goes. But yeah, I think that's it. Like and subscribe if you want to stick around. You can go onto my socials and stuff like that. So yeah, bye.